Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I am incredibly honored for this. Grateful to stand here in front of so many people that I know and admire and respect. Back when I started in athletics, all the way back in 1980, so that's how old I am, I believe then and still believe now that athletics teaches lessons you carry through life. Discipline, teamwork, resilience, accountability, and how to show up for something bigger than yourself. As Ann mentioned, shortly before I got here, we had gone through an NCAA certification process. And one of the things that came out of that was that we were behind in having opportunities for women student athletes. And the university had taken on a very ambitious program to start 3 women's sports in a 3.5-year period. And that fell to my team to implement that. The original plan, as Ann mentioned, was to add soccer first because we felt that that would be a sport that we could immediately attract people. New Jersey was a hotbed of women's soccer high school student athletes. Then next was going to be softball, and then finally the last one was to be lacrosse. So we started out with the soccer program, and almost immediately they became regionally competitive. But again, it was hiring coaches, recruiting players, growing support staff, finding locker rooms or building new locker rooms for these teams. Softball was next, but we had no field on campus. And through the work of Ann and Kathy Liggett, we were able to get a deal done with the city of Hackensack to use some fields that they had to start the program there. That has its own challenges when you don't own the field and you can't decide when it's going to get taken care of, when it's going to get lined for games and those sort of things as well. But we got that up and running. I can remember the early practices of both soccer and softball where the team sizes were small and we were in borrowed space, but there was a lot of optimism. The kids that were starting those programs were excited to be here and to be college athletes competing on the Division I level. Lacrosse became much more problematic to get going. At that point, we had the soccer field, but it wasn't a turf field then. It was natural grass, and everybody knows about the legions of geese that live in the marsh beside the field, where we had to drag the field every day to get enough of the geese increment out so it was safe for our players to practice. The additional thing was that we already had men's and women's soccer programs using that field, and now lacrosse was going to be a spring sport. We had spring seasons for men's and women's soccer, and we just determined that there was no way that that field was going to be able to be a safe, good place for people to play with 3 sports sharing it. And bowling had gotten to become more popular, and there are the lanes down at Hackensack that are almost just a stroll from campus. Those people were great. They welcomed us. They said if you put up a banner that says home of FDU Knights, you can come for free. We'll have practices every day. We'll give you a time for practice. We'll give you the opportunity to hold tournaments and matches and things like that too. And the administration and the Board of Trustees was very supportive of that. So we started a bowling program. We were the 40th NCAA school to add bowling, and at that point, that was the cutoff to become an NCAA championship sport. So we got a bang publicity-wise for being the school that put it over the hump with that. We were able to attract Mike, who already knew was a great coach, and not that many years later, we won our first national championship. So the support that we got from the administration when we did these things was outstanding. The provost's office, we had Rich Bronson and we had Joe Kiernan. Joe, where are you? And they were incredibly supportive of what we were trying to do, which was a change from the previous help that we got from the administration. And they even did things like, they said, you know what, let's start Provost Night. And so they gave us some money, and we got student groups, and we said, we're gonna judge you guys. You come, you sit in your own sections, and whoever makes the most noise and is the most supportive of the home team in the basketball games and things like that, we'll put some money into your student accounts for them to do other programming and things like that as well. Our mascot at that point was not a real good-looking, certainly Division I mascot, and they said, go get a design, come bring it to us, we'll give you the money to get this done. And we were at a place that was making mascots for Ohio State and St. John's and people of that ilk. And then we had Nitro, who has now been put to sleep, so to speak, with a brand new outfit and those kind of things too. But those were the type of things. And then we had the great run, the Elite Eight soccer run, and they said, you know what? If you can get students that want to go, we'll transport them down to Chapel Hill, North Carolina for that Elite Eight game, and had a full bus of kids. The Chapel Hill people had no idea what hit them. It was really a great thing for our school. And in addition to Joe and Rich in the provost's office, the support of the Board of Trustees really came together at that point as well. Dr. O'Neill, who you've already heard about this evening, who's back here, and Mary Kay Stratus were extremely supportive of what we were trying to do and helped marshal through some of our plans to the rest of the trustees who frankly were not quite as eager to participate with athletics as Bill and Mary Kay were. We had a great group of coaches and staff to work with here. Some of them are in the room now, Tom Green and Ira Miller, although frankly, Ira left about 2 weeks before I started, but I knew him from my time at the Northeast Conference, and then shortly after I left, then Ira came back to be the coach again. He's the ilk of people that have been here and worked with our student athletes. There are two people from my staff when I was here who were absolutely invaluable for everything that we did. One of those is Kathy Ligon. She's the woman whose face is really red now because I mentioned her name. When I got here, which seems like a theme, our head trainer, Kathy was the assistant athletic trainer at that point, and he left shortly after I got here. And I came to Kathy and I said, I want you to be the trainer. Oh, I'm not ready for that. No, I can't do that, she says. Well, that's maybe the best hire I've ever made. She's now Brad's SWA and is involved in everything that goes on around here. And then Ann Galino, who was kind enough to do my intro. Who was my right-hand person, my moral compass. And everything that we achieved while I was here was due to my ability to work with Ann. So that part was all wonderful too. And then finally, none of us can be successful without supportive family members. This part I knew I got trouble. So at this table over here is my wife Connie, who is, you can raise your hand. So Connie was the commissioner of the Patriot League, was the first woman to be the commissioner of the Division I conference, and is now the #2 person out at the West Coast Conference in California. Next to her is my sister-in-law Betsy, who we share an alma mater at Lafayette, and though she may seem small, she was the captain of the field hockey, basketball, and lacrosse teams her senior year at Lafayette. In the splendid red outfit, my daughter Maggie, fresh out of her MBA at Santa Clara, where she went as an undergrad and works at Santa Clara as well. To her left is my daughter-in-law, Carrie, who is an award-winning nurse practitioner at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. My brother, Craig, is next to them, and then our good guy, Brian Dew. And then my son, Jack, is unable to come tonight because he's down producing the Athletes Unlimited Women's Basketball League in Nashville right now, and they've got games tomorrow and stuff, so he was not able to get up as well. And then there's this guy, who has been, the job that he and Jason and Liggett and Quirk, we use last names because Roy Danforth, who used to be the AD here a while ago, never referred to people by their first name. It was always their last name. And there were people here whose first name I didn't know, because I just knew they were Liggett or Quirk or Galino or whomever. So anyway, the job that Brad and his staff have done in a time that's very tumultuous in college athletics, and there are people who are cutting programs, there are schools that are closing, there are people that are dropping from Division III to from Division I to Division III, and they got together and figured out a way that this university could actually add sports and have it be something that helps the whole university and not just the athletic department. So I want to recognize all their contributions for FDU being now where it is. So thank you very much. I appreciate the honor. Good night.